Thank you for joining. I'm Sheri from Sunflowers and Petals. Today we are talking about personal safety while biking. If you like what you hear, be sure to hit the like button below and also subscribe. Joining me today is the CEO of Girls Fight Back, Nicole Snell. Welcome, Nicole.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Great to have you. So explain to me what Girls Fight Back is all about and what led you down that path.
Girls Fight Back is about empowering women and girls with personal safety and self-defense education. We were founded in 2001 by a woman named Erin Weed in honor of her friend Shannon McNamara, who was murdered in her off-campus apartment. And because of how hard Shannon fought, Erin was inspired to teach other women how to fight back and to be able to live their life and walk through the world feeling confident in their ability to defend themselves. And because of how hard Shannon fought, they were able to collect enough evidence to capture her murderer. So her murderer is serving life sentence in jail and can't hurt anybody else. And so that is what started Girls Fight Back. And I became a speaker for Girls Fight Back 6 years ago, and I heard about the program and knew that I just wanted to be involved. The idea that I could travel to colleges and companies around the world and teach this was something that I knew there was nothing else that I wanted to do in my life but to do this and to teach people and to empower people. And after 6 years of speaking and traveling, I had the opportunity to purchase the company, and it was a big leap. It happened during COVID. I can't tell you how scary it was to make that decision during such a tragic, collectively tragic time for everyone in the world with the pandemic. But I knew that it was something that was important to me and that this work meant so much to me, and the mission was something I wanted to continue. And I knew that there was no other decision for me but to do this, and that I would find a way to make it work.
Well, congratulations on buying the company. And yeah, during COVID, it was necessary because domestic violence was on the rise.
Yeah.
So it was actually perfect timing.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we never want to see those numbers going up, but until violence has been, stamped out in our world everywhere, I want to be able to empower people with skills that they can use to feel like they can still go out and live their life and do the things they want to do, instead of feeling limited by the messages that tell us that as women, as female identifying individuals, that we're helpless or we're weak or we can't do this, and we actually can. And I like being able to show people the power that they have, and the look on people's faces when they realize that they're worth fighting for is just, it's the greatest gift that I could be given. And it's why I do this work.
It's a great mission. So let's turn to biking. Survey after survey shows that one of the top barriers for women to start cycling is the fear of actual physical safety. And that's not just the fear of getting injured while riding in traffic and getting hit by a car, but also their personal safety when they ride alone on a trail or through the city. What advice would you give these women?
I would give women, and it's so interesting that you say that safety is the number one concern. That seems to be the number one concern for solo women traveling, for solo hiking, for solo running. It just, the fear and the presence of violence against women is something that we're all really aware of, no matter what activity we try, or activity that we take part in. So the advice that I would give for solo cyclers is your intuition and your awareness are some of the most powerful tools that you have when it comes to your personal safety. And no matter where you are, I mean, you could run into a problem on a very busy street, as well as you could run into a problem, on a solo ride on a trail. So it's trusting your intuition. If something feels off, it's okay to turn around. It's okay to end your ride early that day. It's okay to stop in and ask for help somewhere if that's what you feel like you need to do. And being able to notice things around you is going to give you the power to be able to make the decisions that are best for you. Because if you're aware of a potential problem or something is sparking your intuition, you can then take steps to avoid it. And when we're on bikes, we have a very fast way to get to safety if we needed to. You know what I mean? Like we have a tool, like that's something that we can pedal faster, we can get away, we can, if that's an option. Same as something similar that I tell for runners, like if you can run away, if you can get to safety, if you can turn around and bike down a different path, that would of course always be an option. But in worst case scenarios, if you can't get away, then, using your voice, asserting yourself. You may even be able to use your bike as a barrier if you need to dismount and keep it between you and the threat, with your hands up and telling the other person, look, I don't want trouble. I want you to leave me alone. It's really understanding that we have options and we have tools on our body that we can use, and we can even use our environmental objects to help protect us and get us in a safer position until we can get to safety.
Yeah, I know. Even like if you have a dog that's chasing you or something like that, and you can't get away, putting the bike between you and the dog, putting you between someone that's trying to approach you. I mean, the bike actually does do a great job as a barrier.
Yeah.
So, and you were talking about listening to your gut. I have this story that I tell that we were riding on a trail. It was my boyfriend and another friend of mine, and we came across two bikes just strewn across the trail and a man and woman on the side. And he had his arm or his hand on her arm that just didn't look like a very loving way. And we rode past and we got like 100 yards, and my gut said, there's something wrong. And because there were three of us, I'm like, let's turn around and just make sure. And we got back, and you could see her physically shaking. And I was asking her questions like, are you okay? Do you need anything? And he kept answering and not her. So I would look her in the eye and just say, are you okay? And finally we gathered that she had fallen off her bike and she was just shooken up from that. But truly believe in your gut, and I believe your classes teach that to listen to your gut and your intuition.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's the greatest gift that we have. There's a book called The Gift of Fear by Gavin de Becker, and he talks at length about intuition and how it's our body's way of noticing danger. And sometimes we don't know consciously why we're responding in a certain way or why it's sending us a message, but its whole purpose is to help us avoid something that's dangerous. And that's why it's so important that we listen to it instead of second guessing ourselves in those moments. It's so good that you turned around and went back to ask for help. I've done that
Oh,
before, where something just felt off and you just,
yeah, I would never have forgiven myself and always wondered if she was okay. And I'd want somebody else to come back and check on me if she was on the
absolutely.
other foot. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I've recommended to bike shops that they list like routes and local trails on their websites, but not to stop there, that they should also label them as a safe place to ride alone, and just really keep women's safety in mind. How would you recommend a woman go about evaluating the safety of a route or a trail?
I think a lot of it comes down to whether you've done that trail before or not. Like, for instance, when I hike, there's several trails that I'll go by myself all the time and do them because I know the trail, I'm familiar with it, and I know that if I run into trouble or I run into a problem, that I know how to handle myself in those situations. So I think if you can, scout your routes in advance and you kind of have an idea of, where you would get to safety if you ran into a problem, or looking and seeing if anyone else has reported anything weird on that particular route, and maybe if they do, maybe you can avoid that section of it and go somewhere else. Something that I want to mention regarding that is we want to avoid thinking that just because this place is rated as safe, that we don't have to listen to our intuition and our awareness, because unfortunately violence can happen anywhere and accidents can happen. And it's still really important that we pay attention to these things, because even if we consider something to be safe, there could be an instance when maybe there's someone there that doesn't mean us well, but because we are assuming that it's a safe place, we might have let our guard down, or we might have, assumed that something like that can't happen. So when it comes to that, it's just important to use your intuition, to use your awareness, to avoid assuming that only bad things can happen in certain areas, and instead letting your intuition, your awareness make those decisions for you and help guide you. Because you could be in a place where maybe you wouldn't necessarily think it was safe and be completely fine.
Right.
So it's a matter of, I think, your personal comfort with the route that you're on, and knowing that you know where you're going, you know what the potential hazards are. Maybe there's like a traffic light that always like the yellow light's really short and people are always running that light, and you want to make sure that you don't get stuck in the intersection or things like that. By understanding those things, and also understanding that we have tools on our body to be able to defend ourselves, so that even if we ended up in a worst case scenario, that we have options, that we aren't helpless. And I think that can really help give people confidence. I feel like very often the thing that causes us the most fear is the unknown, the thought that, well, if something happens, I won't know what to do. Or if something happens, I won't be able to stop it, or I won't be able to defend myself. And that's the information that I try to impart on people in my classes, is that we do have options. There are things that you can do. You can pick what is going to work best for you in your situation. And we don't have to walk around feeling like we're helpless, because we're not. We have so many options, and that confidence can help us open our world even more.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with the confidence and being prepared. So if someone does find themselves in a bad situation, are there ways to de-escalate things before they get physical?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Some of the most important, I consider some of the most important things I teach are the non-physical aspects of self-defense, in that those are the things we're using the most often. Sheri, I can't tell you the last time I heel palmed someone in the face, but I can tell you the last time that I had to set a verbal boundary with someone. And if say you're biking and you stop for whatever reason, you needed a rest, or you needed to take a phone call or something, you're in an intersection and you start to have an encounter with someone, you can use your voice, you can use verbal skills to try to de-escalate. You can say what you need, say what you want the other person to do with confident body language, strong body language. Even if you're sitting on the bike, having your hands like resting on the top of the handlebars, or getting your hands, close to you, so that you can block yourself if you need to, or be able to quickly dismount if you needed to dismount for some reason, if you couldn't get on your bike and ride away. And your voice is one of the most powerful tools and weapons that we have. So yes, use your voice, try to talk your way out of it. The best fight is the one we don't have to fight. And if we can project confidence, and someone who is aware, and someone who is going to give someone a fight, assailants are not looking for a fight. Assailants are looking to prey on people who they perceive to be vulnerable or accessible or distracted in the moment. And if we can put off the energy with our body language and our verbal skills, that we're prepared to defend ourselves. I'm setting a very strong boundary. I want this person to leave me alone. That can be a very effective deterrent and can potentially avoid a physical confrontation.
Well, Nicole, thank you so much for sharing some really great tips. Where can someone go if they're interested in your program?
They can visit my website, NicoleSnell.com, and I also have girlsfightback.com. They can also find me on Instagram. My personal handle is adventurous of Nick, and that's Nik, or Girls Fight Back.
Great. Well, thanks for watching another Sunflowers and Petals video. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and be sure to subscribe, and enjoy the ride.